This conference will now be recorded.
I gotta turn on my volume. I'm gonna run to my truck and grab it.
Frank Upton. Who's Frank Upton?
No, it was just going to be in the hammer. I told him my ego couldn't take it. 90 minutes straight up. Oh, it's very, very good. 90 minutes straight. Well, there's two of them to me. And that's two people play one person. And then the loser says, and then
Oh, I see.
you can only play 2 games. After 2 games, win or lose. For the next person. Yeah.
Okay. You hit record on this?
Yeah, should be all set.
Right or wrong. And John is remote, so we're gonna. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to September 8th, 2021 meeting of the Monterey Select Board. I'm Stephen Weiss, the chair.
Justin Maycook,
Who's
also present.
who's present, and then John, you're present remotely. Is that correct? Can you hear me? So I call out John, and John shows up.
I'm present.
You're presently okay. You're located. Okay, very good. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Oh, in the audience, because we don't have this machine in the audience, we have John Silbert, we have Terry Walker, town clerk, Gary Shaw, and I'm sorry, who is that? What? Oh, Jeremy Rowitz. Jeremy Rowitz is here in person. So full thing. All right. So the first issue on the agenda is a clerk's request to change hours.
Well, I asked if it were, Tuesdays 1 to 5.
I can't hear.
Tuesdays 1 to 5. Wednesdays 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. As needed, appointments as needed.
So we're probably going to do the mask. You need to just move closer with the mask and then pulling the mask down.
I would come in the other 4.75 hours with my own discretion.
So I'm sorry. So it was Tuesday 1 to 5. I apologize.
Yeah.
And what was the other day?
Wednesday 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, all day Wednesday.
Yeah. By appointment. I'm available by appointment, and the other 4.75 hours at my own discretion.
So the board should have a discussion about that. I mean, obviously, I think I mentioned it before last time when you changed your hours previously. It's really all about accessibility to the public.
Right.
They need you.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't. When you changed your hours last time, you said that you would be accessible, and I personally haven't heard anything to the contrary. I don't know if the other board members have. What about Gary, are you just here for moral support, or are you going to be available if for some reason the clerk is not available, or how does that work?
Well, it depends on what the clerk and the select board want. I'd be happy to do that, but I've been told that I shouldn't do that when the clerk isn't around.
We told you shouldn't do that.
The selectman had a meeting and said he had been there when I wasn't there and he couldn't answer a couple of questions.
I didn't know everything.
Yeah, well,
So therefore, they said, well, if you don't know everything, then you shouldn't be there.
this is so I'm assuming this is a previous select board.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it one that I was on? Because I don't really recall that, but it might have been the year that I wasn't on. So anyway, again, it is, no one expects anybody to know everything. Again, the idea is accessibility and coverage. I think it's great that you're available should you need to get in there. My only concern, just gonna say it out loud, is that the 4.7 hour discretion. I mean, it seems to be working fine, but I guess to the board, once you let one employee at a discretionary amount of time, other employees may also come in and say that they want that as well, and that's my only concern about discretionary time.
Well, for instance, last Thursday evening, I had to come in and do a marriage license because the people were getting married Sunday. So they call my cell phone. I need them here. I like to work sometimes without the public interrupting. Mm-hmm. And everyone has my cell phone if I need it.
I think there's a lot of town employees that have a lot of hours that are not office hours, and they do good work during them. I mean, we have some employees that don't have office hours at all, but some that have, like the building inspector has some office hours, but plenty of off hours that he works that are not office hours, and he's available, as long as everyone stays available to the public as needed. It's good.
Okay. So does anybody do you want to make a motion to accept her hours?
I see Karen Jackson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's make a motion, and then we can open it up to the public.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the town clerk's requested hours.
Yeah, second, and then we'll have a discussion, Susan. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and second it as long as we provide access. Let's open up the discussion. Susan.
Two things. I totally support. I agree with Justin and Terry that, especially given her job, having some hours where she can be in there without the public is perfectly sensible given the job. I mean, the assessors do that too, right? My question is, weren't there previously weekend or evening hours, and is that now going away?
So there are some evening hours on Wednesday until 8 p.m. There were not weekend hours, and then there were for a short period of time, and now there aren't. But from my understanding, Terry's also willing to meet with people when it works for them. So I don't think anyone should be worried about not being able to meet with the clerk. Yeah.
But Susan, that is a good point. 2/3 of our population are second homeowners. So although these days they're spending more time here during the week, obviously weekend is maybe important to them. If I was a second homeowner, how would that work out?
I can't hear you. I cannot hear what's going on and being said. Someone has to speak into a microphone, please.
All right,
I'm going to be recording this meeting. Is this meeting being recorded? Because if not, I'm recording this meeting.
It's being recorded, John.
Meeting's
Well,
being
I'm recording
recorded.
it also.
Okay, fine.
Because I can't hear anything.
Okay, that's fine. No one's. Anyway, so do you have your number posted on your door?
On the door, on my voicemail,
The previous hours had a weekend, didn't it?
I did, but it's not working for me.
You didn't when this board, a couple months ago, you didn't have weekend hours, and then you did for a short period of time. And now you're asking to change back.
Yeah. Because
I can't hear a single word she's saying.
Just get closer to the thing, because if you put it on the map, then it defeats the whole purpose of having a mouse.
okay, the Saturday hours aren't working for me.
Still can't hear it.
All right, so we'll get better equipment. I promise.
We can pass around the laptop, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna do that. So, all right, so listen, obviously we're gonna find out the second homeowners of local law, as you may know, and if they're having a problem with coverage, we'll know.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So as long as there's I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. As long as there's ways for people to come in and see how to contact you. And I would probably also make a recommendation to post these new hours on the Monterey News so people know, and know how to get to you in case you're not in the office.
Okay.
Is there anything else out there? Anybody have? No. Do you see any other hands there?
No.
Okay. There being no other hands. So I vote yes.
Yes.
John, what do you vote?
This is not within our jurisdiction to dictate the town clerk's hours. I'm sorry. It's just, she can do whatever hours she wants to do. I don't think we have the jurisdiction.
Are you voting yes, or you're abstaining, or you're voting no?
I'm abstaining. It's not within our jurisdiction to decide what the town clerk's hours are.
All right. Item number 2, accept least donation. So it's my understanding that somebody would like to make a donation to the police department in gratitude of their hard work. And however, as a board, we have to vote to accept that donation. I vote that I move that we accept the donation. I don't have the exact amount. What?
Who is making the donation?
A member of the community. And they're making it to the department, not to a particular. You can't make it to a particular person. Yeah, quite frankly, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
No, I was just curious. Is it anonymous? It can be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know if they want their voice out there or not. Generally, when we've had people make donations, we've had people that made donations that wanted to make donations before. We just really talked about whether it's okay or not. It's obviously I can't say that it's not a member of town government or anything like that.
I would want to know, I guess, who. I mean, there's ongoing. The police are constantly. We get their report. They interact with a number of people every month, and I, of course, assume that it's just a benevolent, kind donor, which is great. But I think it is safe just to see who. I think I assume that it's all, everything's right, but I think it's only fair to see who, because I think it's only right.
Okay, very fair enough. We'll table it and we'll reach out to that person and see if they want to identify themselves either publicly or privately with the individual members of the board, and then we can have another vote. So we'll table that to the next meeting. Accounting contract copy copy attached. Includes additions requested by council. Has everybody get a chance to look at Aaron Kinship's contract? Is basically the same. I don't know if the council did look at it. and they made
Oh yeah, yeah.
just like one or two minor revisions in it, and this is based on their revisions.
I thought it was all good.
Okay, and he's currently serving the town of Monterey and seems to be doing a good job. So I move that we accept the contract for Eric A. Kinship, CPA, accounting services that run from August 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023 with council's changes. Do I have a second? All in favor, I say yes.
Wait, are we going to have any discussion about this?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, what would you like to discuss, John?
Well, I'd like to discuss the errors that occurred on the two sheets. Apparently, that was blamed on Terry, and apparently it may fall on the accountants. So I'm not in favor of voting for the accountant's contract until this issue has been resolved.
So I actually had a conversation with not only. So I actually have a conversation with the assessor about this process, and he agreed to also throw additional eyes. It just seemed to be an error. It's human error. It's not getting dumped on anybody in particular. The more eyes on it, the better. And the assessor agreed also to take a look at it. Again, apparently he used to do that as well. But that has no direct relation to a contract for the accountant, because the accountant didn't. I mean, the accountant has been serving Monterey flawlessly since we engaged their services. So this error was an oversight, and that happens. It was caught. It's going to be corrected, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Well, the error wasn't caught by the accountant.
So
my information is that the accountant made the error, and the person at the state didn't see the error, and he got fired. That was representing the town of Monterey. He got canned after a finance committee member contacted him. It's my understanding that the accountant made the error, and I'm not comfortable voting on an accountant contract when this issue is still up in the air. We don't know who made the error. At the last meeting, it was blamed on Terry. Now, apparently it's not Terry, it's the accountant.
The error was discovered, okay, and we cannot go back in time. The error was discovered. We're all going to work a little closer together to make sure that these things don't happen. Terry, if it was put on your shoulders, I apologize. Wait, hold on, John. I'll get you. But this is a contract for the town. We're either going to have an accountant for the town of Monterey, or we're not going to have an accountant for the town of Monterey.
Well, if an accountant's making errors, I think it would behoove the select board to know, and just to vote on a contract because Steve Weiss says, it's just an error. Well, I'd like to get to the facts and find out if it was the accountant. Then maybe we should look for a different accounting firm, because if the accountant's making errors 2 years in a row, I'm not so sure that we should be spending $34,000 on an accounting firm that makes errors.
2 years in a row? This happened 2 years in a row?
That's my information. That's what I've been told.
Really? So somebody told you that? Okay. Well, I don't have that information that it happened 2 years. It's happened 2 years in a row. I think I would have remembered it. Is Mr. Coburn on? Don, do you remember this?
Yes. Yes, there was no prior error.
Well,
John, are you trying to destroy this? Are you trying to destroy this town? You really have to stop it.
Yeah.
Why don't you just keep your mouth shut and let them speak?
Yeah, right.
I was asked the question.
But you took the opportunity.
I can't destroy the town further than you've already destroyed it, Don.
So listen. I'm all right, John, why don't you jump right in here for 1 second?
So I have two suggestions.
I can't hear John. I can't hear who's speaking.
John, just with the,
About the direction of
Go close.
I have two suggestions. One would be, I think it might be worth meeting with the accountants. I enjoyed that when Lisa and Lisa came into town a couple of years ago. And if we're going to renew the contract, do a little catch up, see how things are going. So that's one suggestion. The other is, I'm not quite sure why you need to do 2 years. So we could do, right? I mean, anyway, they're just two suggestions.
No, we heard dogs. Great.
John's got to mute himself
Oh, yeah.
because there's dogs.
I'm sorry? Oh,
There's
John,
excess
John,
noise
your
from-
dogs are
from Don.
Zoom bombing this.
There he is.
So it is not easy to find an accountant, a good accountant, and I've been through several processes of this. Yes, people do make errors. They will make errors. I have no problem having the accountant come in, and you can have a discussion. You can have a discussion with him about it. I believe he's going to say what I'm saying. He's no friend. He's no personal friend of mine. But I believe he's going to say, yeah, it was an error. We found it. We're gonna keep a closer eye on it. I mean, errors do happen, and that's why we what.
I just want you to know that I found where the error is. They didn't find it, I found it.
Okay, good.
I've been working a week on this.
Okay, good. So hopefully you're going to join the meeting when if and when he comes.
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay. So what would you like to do?
Susan has her hand up.
Oh yeah, hi Susan.
Sorry to keep pestering. I'm concerned that Mr. Weingold's main method of interacting is to try to block every single contract. It is a concern because at the same time, you get upset, John, when there aren't contracts. So that seems interesting to me. It seems inconceivable to me that you would hire an accountant or anyone else that never made an error. How significant was this particular, I'll call it the error of record that you speak of? And what was such a significant consequence of that error being made and then being caught that is so significant that it would be inappropriate to allow that accountant to ever work for us again? I don't know the answer to that question, so it's an honest question because maybe this is a much more egregious error than I realize.
Well, yeah, it was a misapplication of free cash, and where the town voted to use it to lower the tax rate, and instead it was put on a different line so that the free cash is just a free cash. So it's not used.
So I can, here's a question.
Right. I can answer your question, Susan, generally, because it's easy to do. Generally. No. She asked if it was consequential. So it could have been very consequential because we might have found ourselves in the middle of the year spending money we didn't have. $340,000. However, or whatever the number is. No. Okay. So the reason why it's not consequential is because we did not spend $850,000 this year that we appropriated. We're almost $1 million short of what we appropriated as of June 30th. So that means that we never needed the money. But let's just say, if we had in the middle of the year spent our appropriation plus the sum of the 340, we could not have used it because of the mistake. In other words, the 340 can't be used at all this year because of the mistake, and it was earmarked to be used. Does that make sense? Okay, and by the way, I don't think Mr. Weingold is suggesting that we don't sign a contract. He's suggesting that we look into this, have a nice meeting, get everyone up to speed, and then move forward.
Right,
So anyway,
exactly. Jesus Christ.
but the net result of the, I mean, we'll have the meeting. I've got no problem with that. But the net result of the meeting is going to be, yeah, I made a mistake. You know, we're gonna try to put in policies and procedures so the mistake doesn't happen again. That's the net result of it. Not going to be any.
Sorry, we may not have been the owner. It may have been. It was supposed to be.
I can't hear the person.
Yeah. So one of the things that I actually did, you just heard me, is when I happened to be sitting in with the assessor, and I understand that he used to throw an eye to it, and he said that he would be more than happy to do so. Right. Well, again, there are a lot of moving parts to it. We try our best. Errors do occur. Right. Okay. So, you know what? We do have somebody who is engaged in working for Monterey right now, and we need a contact to let's see.
I was already speaking with Lisa about meeting sometimes, so I think it would be a good thing to meet. Because I'm not related to this, but I want to just introduce myself, and so I was going to speak with them, and we're renewing a contract, and it's probably good, that they know who we are and we know who they are, and we can go over, and I think that's a good thing.
So are you saying that you don't want to sign the contract until you meet them?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And what we'll do is we will ask them to come in, and then we'll have the discussion, and then we'll sign the contract at that time. Special town meeting date. Oh, I'm sorry, John.
So,
Well,
are we off this topic? Accusation made that she made.
I can't hear a word he's saying.
Sorry, John. John, here's my question. Are we off this topic? There was a distinct accusation made by the town administrator against Terry that she made the mistake. And you're just saying it's now, we're just going to wash it under the rug. I think at least an apology is needed.
Well, the problem is we don't have any of the facts as usual. Everyone makes accusations. No one knows what's going on. Let's sign the contract. We don't know what's going on.
Like
We
how
don't know
the
who made the
conversation.
mistake. Just sign the contract. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay. All right. So let's
Not signing any contract under those conditions. I don't know anyone in the real world that would.
And believe me, it's not so hard to find accountants who are very qualified.
Very good. Okay. So special town meeting date. I understand that the moderator was consulted. He cannot make it on the 16th of October, but can do the 23rd of October.
So we need a moderator and we need the clerk, please.
Right.
I sent Melissa an email saying I couldn't do it on the 23rd. So,
You do it on the 23rd.
You also need the finance committee. Ultimately, they're going to vote for no. You guys agreed last week that you contact them immediately.
The town administrator is going to contact the finance committee.
I'm just asking if it's done or not for the week.
Did they have a meeting between? Did you have a meeting between
Well, they won't do a
last?
meeting unless you contact them.
So the town administrator is going to contact the finance committee. If I would check with your chair and see if she's been contacted by the town administrator. You cannot make it on the 23rd.
no.
Why do we need a special town meeting when we have $850,000 in free cash available probably in October?
You can't. Yes, you still need it. You can't just spend it. That's not the way it works. You have to have a special town meeting to move that money around. Or a donation. I said it last time. You were here, John. I said anybody wants to reach in their pocket. But this is to pay for the air packs for the fire department, and it's important. So we've got to figure out a date. What are your alternatives?
Or talking about Saturdays?
Yeah, generally Saturdays, we were talking about Saturdays. Here's the 16th and the 23rd. Remember, we're probably gonna be forced to do this again outside because of COVID. So, if you want to talk the 30th, that's gonna start getting very cold. Are you available on the 30th?
The 30th.
All right, so we'll reach out to the moderator and see. And what about on a weekday? John, have we had specials on weekdays?
Had them at night.
Yeah, I'll take them at during
Yeah,
the
I
day.
remember them Friday night. I think the 30th is Thursday. I'm looking at the wrong.
We're talking about October.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that'll be pretty cold.
That's pretty cold. So as an alternative, well, let's check the 30th and then maybe all right, we'll check a few more dates, but we'll check the 30th is probably the last day you can probably do a meeting outside.
Yeah, and even if you did like a Friday evening, which we used to do inside, you might be just even earlier.
Yeah. Okay, so the next item on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, Susan. Go ahead.
No, missed it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it just got left on.
That's all right. No problem. On the KP Law engagement letter. We have an engagement letter from KP Law to engage your services. I believe every member of the select board got one.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. I read it as well. I don't see any mistakes. The thing that I was looking for was the retainer amount that matches what was raised and appropriated at town meeting. I now see it. So therefore, I make a motion to accept the terms of engagement for KP Law. Do I have a second?
Do you think we should run it by our lawyer first?
So our lawyer is KP Law. So that would be. Would you? Oh, you got me. You got me. You got me. All right. Good for you, Justin. Yes.
What? I didn't hear any of that.
I didn't say anything yet. My question is, there are currently cases that the town is involved in. Would it be a good idea to have the former council finish that up, as opposed to the new council trying to get up to speed on these cases, which are years long? That's my question.
So that's a good question. Why didn't you bring that up? Because I think that you and I have a secret meeting. It's my understanding that that the next meeting is going to have former council is going to join us to have that very discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as next week, maybe.
So I would also like to point out to Gary that that's a separate line item in the budget.
Litigation
The
expenses.
litigation expenses is a separate line item.
Right. No, but well, there's legal expenses and then there's litigation. Exactly. No, that's
So
right.
we'll be meeting with Jeremiah Pollard and discussing.
Yeah.
If he's available,
Yeah.
we're gonna try to do it.
Why would we be meeting with former council? Why wouldn't we be meeting with current council? Have them give us an opinion whether we should continue this. One case is already over. The other case is still pending. Why wouldn't we get counseling from our current attorneys?
Well,
Why
first of
would we
all,
go back to the
Brian,
former council? I mean, it's
Brian and Jeremiah are, because we have to figure out what we're doing. Brian and Jeremiah have been speaking, and we're trying to figure out what does make sense. Jeremiah is not necessarily going to keep the same rate if going forward with these cases that he's been charging us at, since he no longer has the retainer agreement. So we do have to figure out with him what it would look like going forward with him versus what it would look like going forward with KP and then make a decision. So we do have to meet with him. Or at the very least get some commitment.
We're supposed to meet with current counsel. We decide if they give us an opinion, should we continue with these cases?
Yes.
Then we go back to, that's how it's supposed to happen.
It could also depend, John, on how much Jeremiah is going to charge us to keep going with these cases.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not really.
Okay, really. So I do think it does. But.
Oh my God.
Look, we're trying to make the transition period process as flawless as possible. It is a little confusing because you have two existing cases. One of them is out there for designation, but it's the one that may require or you may want to have an appeal. But we certainly don't know, and I'm not an attorney. I'm not pretending to be one. It seems to be reasonable that prior counsel is willing to have a discussion, and I don't believe he's going to charge us for it.
You made a motion to accept the terms of engagement from KP Law?
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
So you're going to have the town administrator involved in issues when.
About the cases,
Oh my God! It's
not
just
actually
absurd.
signing an agreement on them right now. Right. So this is not related to the other thing.
No. Right. And that's what we're trying to. Okay. So there being a second, and any more discussion from the audience on it? Then I move to accept the terms of engagement with KP Law. I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you sign that? John, yes or no, or abstain?
What's that?
To accept the terms of engagement with KP Law.
Not with the town administrator being involved. No, I do not.
What do you mean, John?
My vote is no.
What related to what?
The town administrator is going to be involved in all her little issues with the HR problems. Yeah, so they're going to be giving her advice. I mean.
All right, you voted no. That's fine. Item number 6: review council.
I really don't understand what you two are really doing. I really don't.
HR issue and options.
It's very good that you're protecting the town administrator from everything, but
we're moving on over here.
It's not going to work.
We're moving on over here.
You can't have the town administrator involved with the attorneys when she's part of the HR problem. Sorry. And you can speak over me all you want, Steve.
This is an okay.
But
so
John,
it doesn't work in the legal world. You can't have the perpetrator or complainant be involved in giving legal advice to the client. It doesn't work that way. Sorry.
It doesn't
work that way.
You don't know what you're
maybe
talking about, John. You really don't.
Maybe in New Jersey. Yeah, you really don't either, Don.
Something. Anyway. Okay. So now we reached out to.
Did I see that agreement? I ran through it.
Why
We
can't
reached out to KP Law. Hello.
Justin?
We reached out to KP Law. We're going to start muting. We reached out to KP Law to ask how they would have us work out a human resources issue that is in front of the town. They made some recommendations, which we asked them to make recommendations for. One of them is scheduling a special meeting to discuss the complaint in executive session. The other one was...
I think before you go on, you should take notice that Mr. Weingel has left the meeting before you continue.
He may be out there somewhere. All right, Justin.
No, he's not. He's not there. He's left the meeting.
Justin, do you see him on the meeting?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it's taken note that at 6:38, Mr. Weingel has left the meeting. We'll let everybody know if he decides to jump back on. Okay. So, anyway, have you had?
Justin was just looking over the
No,
contract.
there's nothing in. There's nothing in there.
No mention of the
No,
town
there's
administrator
nothing. There's
making
nothing.
these
There's
agreements?
nothing in there.
There is that we'll get periodic updates to the select board or town administrator. There's
And that all members of the select board can contact town council, and that we can have discussions with them. So you're gonna get it right from the horse's mouth. So anyway, have you read that response from KB Law?
yeah.
Could you read it out loud for the public?
Yeah, Don.
I think we're allowed. I think this is
Yeah,
fine. But
all right, go ahead, Justin.
hi, Melissa. I'm in receipt of the board's letter. This is not in the email, what I'm about to say, but we sent a letter last week to our lawyer, Brian, asking for some advice on whether to how to investigate a complaint. If time is of the essence, the board may wish to consider scheduling a special meeting to discuss the complaint filed by the town clerk in executive session, rather than wait to take up the matter during the course of a regularly scheduled board meeting. The board could do so with 48 hours written notice to yourself and the director, and by properly posting the agenda for the meeting at least 48 hours before the meeting. As for the two possibilities raised in your letter, the board, in my opinion, should hear from Labor Council as to the options it has to address the complaint filed by the town clerk, with those options generally being the retention of an independent investigator. In parentheses, we work with investigators throughout the state and have several that we could recommend. Having an attorney within our firm, in parentheses, who is not part of the Monterey team, conduct an investigation, or conducting the investigation internally. So we have, this is not in the letter, but it lays out three choices: retaining an independent investigator, having an attorney from KP Law conduct an investigation, or conducting the investigation internally. The rest of the letter is, please let me know if you would like to discuss this matter further. We are working remotely for the present time due to the pandemic. The best way to reach me is via cell, which I won't read. Very truly yours, Brian. So we have three options to choose from going forward. And it sounds like we should, in his opinion, hear from Labor Council as to what the best option may be.
Now is he coming in next Wednesday?
Yeah, we're meeting with him soon.
Yeah. So you want to have a discussion with him when he's in person?
Or should we send him another communicate? Well, yeah, because he says in the letter we should hear from Labor Council as to the options, which he then lays out the options. So I guess he's saying we should hear from council as to maybe once they know about the particulars as to what may be the best once they know about the particulars.
Generally, so only the particulars can only come out in executive session. Okay.
Because executive session is required to discuss the character, reputation, physical fitness, mental health of an employee.
Rule number one. Right. Yeah. So we're gonna.
My understanding is that yes, it's not always clear because character and reputation play into job performance, but that it's better to err on the side of that it's character related. It does not lay it out. Should hear from Labor Council as to the options. So I imagine it's from within the firm.
So I would probably want them to clarify. Yeah, right. What or to make if they're going to make a recommendation of Labor Council, we should have names. We should have. Right. So what?
Don has a hand up as well.
I'm sorry, Don. Don, do you have a hand up? Your microphone's off now.
I'm putting it on. Number one, it is not so that there's any situation in which you have to have an executive session. Please read the statute. It only gives you permission to have an executive session.
People can wait.
The other thing is,
I'll do that.
as I pointed out to you, to the select board in the letter, the complaint that Terry's filed doesn't come within Title IX, even though she uses the general phrase
I don't want to try
that
this.
you would
I don't
use.
want to try this thing. We're not having a discussion about that.
I'm not trying. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to. What I'm trying to do is to say to you, if there's no Title IX complaint, to waste thousands of dollars of the town's money on investigation makes no sense.
All right.
It's inappropriate to intimidate people and to retaliate against them and ask them to withdraw complaints.
Let's decide how we're going to proceed, shall we? What would you like to do?
Well, we're talking to our lawyer, right, about what he thinks, because we have three options, and let's see what he says. I have my preferences, which I've laid out before, but
you want to have the discussion when we meet with them?
well, we can discuss if it would speed it up. I think time is of the essence, like this says, and
well, we wrote that.
Yeah, but he repeated it. Yeah. So, but yeah, it sounds like we have more or less three options, and yes, but our lawyer wants us to continue consulting lawyers, which seems prudent enough.
Right, let's see. We'll reach out to him and see if there's if you can give us any more specific guidelines on it.
Yeah, I guess he probably needs to know the specifics and be updated on that to give us specific.
If it's okay with you, I'll reach out to him. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. What are we going to ask him?
I'm going to ask him specifically if he's recommending a labor lawyer. Then what is the procedure for that? Obviously, we're going to have a board meeting on it.
Yeah. So why don't you ask him for clarification on, or ask him whether we should just meet when we're supposed to meet with him and he can update it. I think that's next week, so maybe that's our best bet.
Okay, so I will do that, and we'll continue on here. Accept terms and conditions of YouTube.
What's that, Susan?
Oh, I'm sorry, Susan. Yeah.
No, that's totally okay. I'm just wondering, would it make sense, since you have to post 48 hours to do the executive session, is it already an executive session when you have the meeting with this guy next Wednesday? Or do you need to post 48 hours before that it might be an executive session so that you can actually have an executive session to discuss that with a lawyer where you're able to state clearly the issues before you and hear his response in a confidential way?
No, actually, you know what, I know, but actually, that's not a bad point, Susan. I plan on getting in touch with him tomorrow so that we are not wasting any time on this. Obviously, if we were going to have an executive session on Wednesday, which would be interesting, then we would have to post 48 hours in advance, which is Monday by 6 p.m. But I plan on reaching out to him tomorrow, not wasting any time, and see what what we need to do. Okay. The accept terms and conditions of the YouTube account. I would. So generally, again, Justin, you know my position on the YouTube business. I don't like it.
We had this conversation many times.
So I know. So since it's going to be yay and nay, why don't we put that on for the next meeting?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, there we go. Approve the minutes of 8/19 and 9/1.
I'll motion table this.
Okay.
With John gone, and I will. Yeah, let's do this next week.
And then select board rules and policies and procedures draft. I would also table it, quite frankly. Review mail and every correspondence to be sent or signed. I did receive, you received this email.
Yeah, I got back to Michelle as a person, not as a select board.
All right, I'm gonna,
We've received a lot of communications, and
is we receiving more communications than this?
yeah,
I'm just gonna, go ahead and read it, John.
You have received 3 communications from me in the last 3 weeks. You haven't put up on to the board at all.
I can read. Should we read Michelle's and then I can read John's?
Sure. Read that,
Do we want to go through reading all this stuff, or do we want to deal with it more
I'd be happy to.
when
I'd
we
be
can
happy
have
to.
it on the agenda and prepare for it? Because John has reached out to us, and we have other communications, and to be honest with you, the Labor Day holiday got me really screwed up, and I didn't realize the agenda was going to be posted on Friday and not Monday. So I didn't add any of the other communications to the agenda, which I otherwise
No problem.
would
Then
have.
we'll table that correspondence. We'll just go directly from comments and questions from the public. Make them nice questions.
Oh, I just have some comments. I can't remember if we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that when I was on the board, I know that we used to schedule the following, we used to have on our agenda, at the bottom of our agenda, schedule next meeting as a matter of course.
We're not working on weekly meetings, so.
Right, but then we also do the agenda at the same time. In other words, it's a good idea just to get them started. Because otherwise you get into this. But there's stuff that you're way behind that you can have on here. And I can give you plenty of suggestions. I'll email them.
Why do you email them to me, John? I'll take an email. I'll take an email from you.
I will say, typically with the Wednesday meetings, it's been very good for agenda planning because we get sent a draft agenda on Thursday or Friday, have the weekend to add any other items, and then that's ready for Monday. But this week, our last meeting was Wednesday, and then the next agenda was posted Friday, and it just snuck up with the Labor Day.
Could I ask you a question? What was the outcome of the fire contract, the firehouse contract last week?
Right. So we're waiting to hear back from the fire chief as to the verification of whether or not he agreed to include an audit in that lease agreement or not. Quite frankly, I don't remember it. However, he was there, and he's the one who's going to have to sign it. So, or he's the one who's going to have to accept it. So I'm just trying to get confirmation from him as to that one particular issue, and then we'll have that discussion.
What is the actual budget of the fire department? Is it department or company here? I'm not sure which the appropriate word is. The budget upon which you would have to be doing the accounting.
You're not? Oh, I'm sorry. No. It's actually for the budget amount that we raise and appropriate for fire services. Do you have that?
What is the question? Which amount, which line item are you talking about? You're talking about the lease?
No. We're
talking about
the operating budget of the fire company.
Yeah. So we have
Do you
four
know?
line items. We have the on-call, about 94,000 last year.
Right.
We have the lease, 17. We have the 30,000 for capital, and we have I want to say 25 for training, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So it's under 500,000.
Oh, the total.
Yes.
I think it's 3 and change.
Yeah. It's under 500,000. I believe, but you'll check me, that the 500,000 is a threshold for mandatory audit.
Oh, wait a second. No, I'm totally confused. The audit is fire company. That's a totally different issue. Okay. If she asks about the departments, I just gave you the numbers for the department.
Gotcha.
The fire company is a nonprofit.
Right, but they're not getting more than $500,000 in public
They're
funds.
required to have
Over 500,000.
you know, best business practice. In fact, never had one, and the fact that we're giving them tax dollars would seem to indicate.
Right, understood.
I'm sorry,
But
what did you say?
that's where we're at.
I could not hear the answer from John. What did you say, Beb? Sorry, John?
Which part?
You correct, I heard the numbers about the fire department, but I didn't hear your final comment about the fire company.
Got it. So the fire company is a nonprofit charity. It's totally independent. So so nonprofits have certain thresholds before they are required by the IRS to have an audit, and one of them is $500,000 a year in revenue.
Correct.
But since we're giving them taxpayer dollars and they never had an audit, although Steve doesn't remember this, it's fine. We all agreed that an audit would be a good idea, and I think that, so the only issue now is who's going to pay for it.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
There you have it. Anything else?
Yes, I have something.
Okay. Yes, Don?
At the town meeting, after almost 45 minutes of argument, the town adopted a policy directing the select board to appoint a committee to study the question of whether we should have a charter or not. 4 months have gone by and no action has been taken by the select board. I think that's disrespectful of the town meeting, and I think you ought to get to work on that right away.
Good point, John.
Okay.
So that was two of the things I was sending to you, Steve. One was that committee could have been formed immediately after town meeting. You don't need the state to approve that article. And even the bylaw review committee, you could have started an ad hoc committee right away.
Okay.
So I would recommend, as with the school committee members, that you put an advertisement in your
So John, I'm glad that you brought this up, and Don, I'm glad that you brought this up. So we can get to things when select board meetings are not bogged down with issues. No. I'm just saying that hopefully we'll get a little bit more succinct as we move along. I'm getting a sense that Justin's really plugged into the job, so I think that's good. And as we get a little bit more cohesive, we're going to be a little bit more succinct in what we get done, and we're going to get to those things. I do appreciate the public reminding us of our obligations, and we will certainly fulfill it. I believe we're not trying to prevent any of that. As a matter of fact, I would be very curious to see what kind of charter somebody comes up with, quite frankly.
Well, we're not going to be doing that.
No, you're going to have to write the whole thing, John. Longhand.
No. Excuse me, Stephen, this committee the vote was not to create a charter. The vote was to create a committee to study the question and report on whether we should have a charter.
I was joking. See, nobody knows more joke.
We ought to ban humor in
yes.
All
right. No more humor. That's it. All right, Don, you're absolutely right. So let's put that down for a discussion.
Yes.
At the next. If there's no more items out there, I would move to adjourn.
Second.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, go have dinner. Oh, well, all right. Take your time.
You can't even smile.